What's going on, everybody? Thumbs up if you can see me and you can hear me. Am I coming through loud and clear? What's up, Cloud? What's up, Leo? What's up, Joanne? Nice to see you. We got Carol in the house. We got Robert. We got Christina. We got Joe. We got Paul. We got Leo. We got Patricia. Fantastic to see everybody here. If you don't have your cameras on, you know I like to see your beautiful faces. So turn those cameras on or risk my itchy trigger finger that might just toss you out, Ian Norman or Clovis or Jeffrey. You know how we roll. And look, tonight, folks, I want to talk about a really interesting AI development that happened. It's Mr. Elon Musk. Did anybody see that he went live over the weekend for a demonstration of the AI Tesla? Just raise your hand. Did anybody see that? It was like a live stream video. And I really wanted to point everyone's attention to this because this is a big watershed moment. If you don't know, all the folks in Silicon Valley have been working on driverless cars for decades now, and they can't crack this technology. Does that make sense to everybody? Raise your hand if you know, right? We thought we'd have driverless cars by now, right? They can do so many things in Silicon Valley, but actually driving a car is one of the more complicated things to do because when it starts to rain or snow, everything goes out the window. And I remember 5 years ago, we all thought that Uber was going to go driverless and then everyone was just going to be riding around in these automatic robot cars, but it never happened until AI got involved. And now Elon's about to roll out a fully artificial intelligence enabled self-driving car. And he's talking about getting something rolled out before the end of the year. He drove around San Francisco with this AI powered driverless car, and he only had to grab the wheel twice, which sounds like a crazy thing Elon does. Is that even legal to do that? I don't even know, but he did it, right? And so apparently it really handled well and it did everything extremely impressively. So we know Tesla's on the edge. I want to talk to you about this development. I want to talk to you what else we're seeing behind the scenes with AI. I want to talk to you about the company we're about to put $1 million in the AI space. And actually, I just got off on a call in Dubai. I'm sorry I was late, Martini, a couple minutes with somebody out there who's got another artificial intelligence deal that they want us to invest in, actually, because we're London Real. So we're very busy behind the scenes. Who said August is slow? Are you kidding me? Like Martini's like bringing all sorts of new members into our investment club. We're super busy in our crypto and DeFi academy. I got guests here this week in studio. So I don't know who said that August is quiet. That happens maybe in Italy, but not here at London Real. So we want to get started. I appreciate everybody being here. Like I said, last chance to turn those cameras on. Richard Fisher, Christina Hatman, Clovis Santos. Clovis, you've been warned. I'm sorry. Don't take this the wrong way, but I just threw you out of this chat. And I'm going to throw away a couple more people out, but turn these cameras on. I need to see your beautiful faces. It's always the good looking people that have their cameras off. So turn those cameras on so I can see your face and get some energy. And then we're going to get started here. If you have any questions along the way, stick them in the chat. I'm going to play videos. I'm going to walk you through what we're seeing behind the scenes, what you need to pay attention for in AI, and why now is the time. I only believe we've got a few months left actually to place your bets in the artificial intelligence space before this thing's just going to go completely parabolic. And I want to show you what's important right now. How does that sound to everybody? Raise your hand if this sounds good. By the way, raise your hands if you're concerned about AI taking over jobs, taking over the world, doing all that stuff. So some hands up here. We got a few people in my investment club as well. By the way, raise your hand if you're in our investment club right here. Let me see hands up. Petia, we got Brenda. We got Joe Sheridan as well. Good to see you, Joe. And Joe's just getting sorted out with a bunch of our investments right now. So great to have you here, Joe. Look, all of my investment club members know what's going on behind the scenes. I don't think AI is being talked about enough. We had a big of a scare in the first quarter of this year, but now everybody went back to their normal lives. And they don't realize we're going to have one or two major AI catastrophes before year end, in my opinion. There's going to be something bad happen because of AI, could result in the loss of life or some major infrastructure damage. And then I think people will start to get the picture. But we want to talk about it now. So I'm going to share the screen. We're going to rock and roll. If you got any questions, please put them in the chat. And then again, we'll talk more at the end as well. All right. Is everybody ready? Okay, folks, let's do this. Let's go see what our friend Mr. Musk is doing. Currently, I think at about $222 billion. He's the richest man in the world on paper. I think a few of our friends in Saudi might be a little richer, but they like to keep that on the DL or keep that wealth underground, which I respect, by the way. And so here is the title of this. Elon Musk is demoing Tesla's AI-only self-driving tech. This was a big leap ahead about what we saw previously, and it's going to have a knock-on effect to everything else that's going on with AI. This should really get our attention because, like I said, they've been working on self-driving tech in Silicon Valley for decades, and they haven't cracked it yet. This is a massive, massive market, tens of trillions of dollars. If they crack it, that it looks like AI is going to be the way they do it. Now, if AI cracks this, AI is going to crack everything, and that's why we want to pay attention. I also want to show you how you can invest and profit from AI now, and I'll show you exactly where we're putting our money in behind the scenes via London Real Ventures. Before we get started, just want to say this presentation really is for information purposes only. It's not intended to be investment advice. If you are looking for investment advice, please seek a duly licensed investment professional. Raise your hand. That makes sense to you? Yeah? Can we rock and roll? All right, let's go. So again, we see the headlines in Forbes magazine. Elon is predicting that the Tesla self-driving cars will arrive this year. All right, he's really pushing for this. He really kind of needs a win for Tesla right now to keep the stock price going up. And we know he needs the cash because he's got coupon payments due for all the Tesla debt that he had to raise, for all the Twitter debt that he had to raise to buy Twitter, which is now X. So, I mean, he's the wealthiest broke guy I know, but he really does need the money, and he needs these prices to go up so he can make these coupon payments, which are real. When you do a leverage buyout, which is what he did of Twitter, you've got a lot of debt. I think he's got $22 billion worth of debt. And even at a conservative 5% coupon, that's a lot of money every year. That's $1 billion of debt servicing. Now, if your company's breaking even, that cash has got to come from somewhere. He's already liquidated a lot of his stock to pay for this thing, and this is real. So again, wait till you get into finance. When I worked on Wall Street, I never met so many broke people making 10 million a year. They all had a reason. It was the ex-wife and the other ex-wife and the kid, and I got 3 houses and my boat needs repair. You never heard so many sob stories with all these rich people, but he's one of them as well. So he's got to produce results, and that's something we want to know. Next thing you see is that he actually demonstrated in a live stream on X. Of course, he streams it on his own social media platform. I do like how he rolls. And again, he said not a single line of code was used to build this non-beta version of the autopilot. This is big, folks. This is literally artificial intelligence going in there and figuring things out on the fly. It's a completely new way of doing things because, of course, everything previous to this would have had to been code written by programmers trying to tell the car what to do if it comes into these scenarios. AI can look at all the data, and with large language model type of tutorials, right, by watching someone drive, it can come up with, in the ChatGPT thing, the next word. It can come up with image models, the next pixel. With a self-driving car, it can come up with the next turn of the steering wheel in an artificial intelligence generated type way. Does that make sense for everybody here as far as how that works? Yeah, it does kind of to me as well. So this is what he's doing here, and this is a big deal. If they make this breakthrough, they're going to be way ahead of everyone else, and it's going to start blazing the trail of what AI can do next. If it can turn the steering wheel, then maybe it can make an investment in the stock market as well. And then maybe it can negotiate a war as well. Maybe it can then create a company as well. So it really starts to open up more than just large language models, which is really mostly what we've seen from the narrow AI so far. Again, more headlines of Musk saying that he's expecting this later this year. AI could really save him and make a lot of those predictions true that's needed to keep the stock price going. And so this is big. The stakes are real. The stakes are high. And it's all happening right now. The really interesting thing that I want to just step aside here is that a lot of people argue of what Tesla is. And this has been always an interesting argument that I find interesting. Is it a car company or is it a technology company? And I actually want to see a show of hands. Raise your hand if you think Tesla's a car company, right? It's no reason to think you wouldn't. They do make cars and they do drive on the road, but I don't see many hands coming up. Okay, a couple. All right, I appreciate that. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Patricia. Because a lot of people think it is a car company. Now, how many people think it's a technology company? Raise your hand if you think it's a tech company. Okay, a lot more people. Now, we've never seen this before. When I was 16 years old, I bought my first car. It was a 1968 Ford Mustang. I spent a lot of time working on that car. I think I'm still cleaning the grease out of my fingernails from working on that car 30 years ago. I then went to work for Ford Motor Company in 1990 on my first summer at MIT, and I got to really see what it was like working for a car company. Okay, now Ford Motor Company makes cars. Tesla, on the other hand, makes something slightly different. On the surface, it looks like a car company, but what do they really make? They make charging stations. They make cars that get software upgrades and then they go faster. Has anyone ever seen that, right? You literally upgrade the software of your Tesla and it goes 0 to 60 like by 0.3 seconds faster. You tell that to somebody at Ford Motor Company, I mean, they're going to slap you in the back of the head if you're like a summer intern saying that, because they're like, what are you talking about? So it starts to make what used to look like a hardware company into a software company. And Tesla, one of the biggest things that Tesla has is they have data, right? We're always talking about AI. AI needs the data. The data comes from all the Tesla drivers. So they're literally watching humans make decisions on the road every day, and they're tracking all of that data that can go into their self-driving cars. Ford doesn't do that. Mercedes-Benz doesn't do that I know of. Maybe they do now. BMW doesn't do that. So you can see with the charging stations, with the software upgrades, with the self-driving cars, with the data collection, it starts to look more like a technology company and less like a hardware or auto company. Raise your hand if that makes a little more sense to you, right? Okay. Now, it's funny, based on where the stock price is, people argue. When the stock price is going to the moon, everyone says, it's a tech company, it can go 10x. When the stock price is going in the toilet, everyone says, we told you it was an auto company. Stop getting crazy. And so, look, people change their mind. But I think we can all argue that Tesla is a unique company with definitely a technology component to it. So this just makes this more obvious that this is an AI player happening right in front of our eyes. And again, if you look at the Tesla revenue streams, you see something different than you would see at a General Motors or a Ford or a Nissan or a Toyota or a Mercedes-Benz or BMW, right? We see a lot of different revenue streams, including energy generation and storage, right? You see a lot of different things in there, service and others, which is going to go into a lot of the software. So you've seen a lot of diversified revenue streams here. And again, future revenue streams of all the artificial intelligence that they can then outsource and outsell from the company itself. So again, it's a new model. It's something interesting to look at. And I think we have to argue that the top 5 AI companies in the world are ChatGPT, OpenAI, Google, Meta, Tesla. It's right up there, folks, right? It's right up there at the top of them. And so we have to recognize that it's there, and probably Apple's not far behind. And so we've got to keep that in mind and not just think of it as a car company. Raise your hand if that makes sense to everybody here. So keep an eye out on this going forward. This is a narrative that's going to change the rest of the AI market. And it's just as important, if not more important, than the AI wars going on right now between Google and OpenAI, which I'll talk about shortly. The last thing I want to mention is Elon and AI. Now, Elon has a strange relationship with AI because he helped found OpenAI as an open source company, which now it isn't open source, right? He also tried to make it a nonprofit, and now it's not a nonprofit, right? Now it's basically run by Microsoft. He was angry about that. He's starting his own AI company, and he's got his thoughts on AI. And so I thought I would just go ahead and play a quick video and just get you up to speed on Musk and his views on AI. Because again, I wouldn't believe everything Musk says, because he seems to have his fingers in many pies, as we would say in London. But we can actually hear what he's saying as far as what's going on with this. So this is just a short of a few things that Elon has said about AI in the past.
Mark my words, AI is far more dangerous than nukes. I think the danger of AI is much greater than the danger of nuclear warheads by a lot. And nobody would suggest that we allow anyone to just build nuclear warheads if they want.
All right, so on one hand, he comes really hard on that. On the other hand, he develops his own AI company behind the scenes, and he's pumping in the AI when it comes to Tesla. Does anyone find that a little strange? Like a little bit of a, right? And one of my guests named Ido Portal was, when we did a movie premiere with him in London, somebody raised their hand and they asked him a really stupid question. And he said to the guy, he said, I think it was Carl Jung who said you can measure the intelligence of the man by the number of conflicting ideas they can keep in their head at the same time, right? And I think that's a great statement. It was a nice way of telling the guy that he's an idiot. And so I think with people like Elon and other people, they've got all these conflicting ideas in their head. They're also trying to make money. They're also trying to beat the competition. And they're also struggling with these various thoughts on AI. And I'm going to show you some of those today in some other videos. So let's keep our eye on Elon. Very interesting that he streamed that this weekend. Expect some big AI developments coming out of Tesla in the future. And if those actually become a reality, expect that company to be in the driver's seat on a lot of AI developments going forward. All right. Is everybody with me on my first point here when it comes to that? Okay, good. Now there's a lot of other things going on in this space. So I want to start with Elon, and then I want to just continue this narrative as well, because I've been lucky enough to start spending time and talking with some of the greatest minds out there when it comes to AI. And so this is Mo Gaudet. He worked at Google for many, many years in the Google X division, which is their moonshot division that worked on all the AI. Mo is an interesting guy, and he was here in the studio recently, and he also wrote a book called Scary Smart, which is the future of AI. Has anyone read that book, by the way? It's a great Audible book that I highly recommend you listen to. It's equal parts optimistic and depressing as hell. And when he was in the studio, he said, Brian, Google is creating God. And that's why he quit that company 6 years ago. He was terrified because he knew where it went. He also told me off camera, and you should listen to what I'm saying here. He said, Brian, he said, we had ChatGPT 3.5 back in 2018 at Google. He said, so what do you think they have now? It's been 5 years. He said, you have no idea what Google has behind the scenes. And I said, why did you release it? He said, we didn't want to deal with the PR nightmare. He said, we didn't want to deal with that because we got a $1 trillion company. If our AI looks crazy, it's going to hurt the stock price. So we kept it to ourselves, which was probably a big mistake. So they lost ground to ChatGPT, but don't get it twisted. Behind the scenes, Google is pushing to dominate in this space. And they're trying to protect their $1 trillion stock valuation to make sure that it does. And so I want you to quickly listen to Mo, because Mo, as I said, is equal parts concerned and also equal parts optimistic on this. And that's what I like about Mo. So this is what he said when he was here in my studio.
AI has already happened. The genie is already out of the bottle. We truly are creating a form of life. There is so much we don't know that it could be the best thing that ever happened to humanity, and it could be the worst. Our conviction of the control problem is not a technical issue. It's an arrogance issue. It's human arrogance to believe that I can continue to control something that is 1 billion times smarter than I am. Einstein's intelligence compared to a fly. And the question is, what would make Einstein care for the fly? Why wouldn't Einstein squish the fly? Your fate and my fate is no longer in our hands. Don't attempt to control them. They are a form of a living being. Attempt to appeal to their value system. The moment of singularity is a moment where the smartest being on planet Earth is no longer a human.
Why should I plan my life past 2025? Because the world's going to change.
Oh, great question. When the complexity of the systems invented by a civilization exceeds the intelligence of the citizens living within it, the system has to reset. The idea of our future is held within this moment of infancy of AI today. They will use us as their role models.
This is the only thing we can do in your mind, is to start being nicer.
AI will grow up to be like you and me. It's simple as that. And the only way we can contain them is by being good parents. And I'm not asking anyone to change. I'm only asking people to find it within them, what they truly are. Treat others as you would like to be treated. Treat the machines as you would like to be treated. If we want a good future, please be good parents.
All right, what do we think of Mo? We feeling some of his insights there? Look, he's a really smart guy. And after we finished the interview, he told me off camera, he said, Brian, he said, I'm not afraid of the machines. I'm afraid of the people. That's what he said, right? And we're seeing this right now, folks, right? We're seeing these people that are empowered with these machines. And what they're going to do is they're going to use them to push their agenda. What's that going to do? It's going to make the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. It's going to make the people already oppressed on this planet even more oppressed. And for the next 3 years, called the pre-singularity, before the machines actually take over and become smarter than us, that's the dangerous thing, because you're going to have folks at Google and folks at OpenAI. They're going to use it to just squeeze the system, right? To make trillions of dollars of profit and put people all over the world out of work and completely skew the social structure of the world until then. And that's what we have to look out for. Does anyone agree with him and think that's probably a big concern? The more I spend time in the space, the more I realize this is the concern. We actually have a solution for it, but I wanted you just to understand what he was saying, because that's what he told me after that interview was over. So we need to keep an eye on what's going on with these major companies and make sure that they're not doing the right thing, and empower the companies that are doing the right thing. That's really what we're doing here. And that's kind of our perspective here at London Real. Now, look, we know some bad things potentially are coming. Goldman Sachs recently said that 300 million full-time jobs are going to be gone because of AI. That's a lot of people, folks. Of the 8 billion citizens in the world, I'd say maybe 5 billion are employed. So that's potentially 8% of the workforce gone. That's not a recession. That's a depression. More than that, that's riots, that's food lines, that's major, major panic in big cities around the world. So this is coming. It's going to become more and more obvious as these events start to happen. And I think we just need to keep our eyes open. But this is all happening, in my opinion, in the next 12 months. And so keep your eyes peeled. We will have 1 or 2 big events this year coming because of this, and we need to be prepared. This is the godfather of AI, Geoffrey Hinton, who Mo knew from Google. And he said, Brian, this guy is the OG. He knew he is considered the godfather. Everyone respects this guy. He quit Google because he's worried about these machines, right? And he's come out and said that he's scared of the tech that he helped build, and he's worried about the dangers of misinformation. We've got an election year coming next year. Things are heating up already in the States. We're seeing it. And what do we have, folks? What do we have? About 15 months until election day. Actually, more like 14 months, right? And it's going to be an AI free-for-all with deep fakes and misinformation galore. How many people agree with me on that, right? It's going to be nuts. And the thing is, you're not going to know which way is up. That's the thing. It's one thing to see one deep fake or get one piece of misinformation. What if there are 10,000 of them that day? How are you going to know who's Trump, who's Biden, who's this, who's that, who's Putin, who's all these people? We don't know. And this is what this guy's worried about. We've also seen the headlines in the Daily Mail. AI could wipe out humanity, right? These are strong statements that we're hearing on a regular basis. And of course, we've got the AI wars. This is happening right now. It's Google versus ChatGPT, and it's a fight to the death. That's exactly what's happening right here. This guy, Satya Nadella of Microsoft, which is funding ChatGPT, has one mission, and that is to destroy Google. Now, look, he's been the ugly stepchild of the whole West Coast for the last 10 or 20 years. Microsoft is kind of a grandpa company. They run Outlook on your corporations. They don't do the hot stuff. They don't have the crazy growth. But now he's got ChatGPT, and it's payback time. So he's trying to crush Google, and Google is trying to fight back. Does that make sense for everybody here, right? And it's a race to the bottom when it comes to our safety. We know that Google recently overruled the risk assessment to launch Bard AI, right? They knew this was dangerous. They knew you do not connect a live AI to the live internet. What did they do? They did it, right? They know you don't teach AI how to code computer programs. They did it. They know you never allow one AI to prompt another AI. Now they've done that. The 3 cardinal rules of no-nos in AI have now been broken by Google. Why? Because unless they do this, their stock price goes to zero. They're desperate. And you've got the boss, Sundar Pichai, admitting that the AI dangers keep him up at night. Does that make anybody feel better that it keeps him up at night? No. Now, look, Mo said that Sundar is a very amazing guy. He said he's got good ethics and he's a solid dude. But he said, look, Brian, if he doesn't do the dirty work, he will get fired, and they will fire a CEO that will do it. Because the way that we create our corporate structures in the world is that the CEO ultimately has to make potentially dangerous situations to keep the stock price up, and that's what's happening right now. OpenAI's own former safety officer said that there's a 10 to 20% chance that most humans are left dead because of AI. Does anybody like those odds here? No? Has anyone ever played Russian roulette? I've done some stupid things in my life. That wasn't one of them. Really? Patricia, you played Russian roulette? All right, we got to hang out one time, have a coffee. That's 1 in the chamber, right? 1 in 6 chamber. That's about an 18%. I don't like those odds, right? Like I said, I've done some dumb things, but I haven't done that. This isn't the kind of thing you want to hear, because this is real, folks. But most of the public is walking around blind without a king. How many of your friends and family have no idea what's going on with AI? Raise your hand if most of your friends and family are absolutely clueless as to the severity of this technology. I would agree, right? And so We've got the OpenAI leaders begging Washington, D.C. for regulation. That never happens. And at the same time, folks, we're seeing billions of dollars pumped into this sector, including us here. We're investing a lot of money as well. So this company here just raised $1.3 billion of financing. This company here, it's 4 weeks old, 28-day-old company, got a $100 million check. Now, look, I worked for 15 years on Wall Street. I saw the dot-com boom. I saw all sorts of booms and busts. I never saw this. $100 million for a company that's 4 weeks old, that doesn't even normally happen. So we know this is an extreme situation here in AI. NVIDIA, the big chip maker, just joined the $1 trillion club because its valuation has been pushed so high. And take a look at this report from McKinsey. It's talking about the economic potential of generative AI. Look at the numbers here, folks. They're talking about generative AI adding $2.6 to $4.4 trillion annually to the global GDP. Just to give you an idea, the entire GDP of Britain last year was $3 trillion. So that outpaces that. And this report further goes on to say it could be doubled if you put this into software. Now take a look to the very right of this chart here. It's saying that potentially there's $25 trillion that this is going to add to the global markets. That's bigger than all of the major technology companies in the world. This is massive, folks. It's a tidal wave of wealth and innovation and danger coming. And you better wake up and find a way to ride the wave or it's going to crush you. And that's why I wanted to get you here tonight. We've got companies like Accenture investing $3 billion into this space. And so tonight, I want to talk about how this is a big deal that Elon Musk streamed this. Again, the neural networks are training these cars. They're also training everything else in the AI. And I also want to show you how you can profit from these investments. And I want to show you what we're doing behind the scenes. By the way, we are currently investing over $4 million into 4 different deals right now in the AI, metaverse, Web3 blockchain space. I'm closing 2 of them, I think, today/tomorrow. And the other ones are closing probably in the next 10 days. We are literally writing big fat checks and sending them to these CEOs so we can be involved in what we believe are some of the greatest companies out there that are going to change this space. So when I talk about this stuff, we speak on it with authority. And a bunch of the people on this call are investing in these companies, right? They've already put their money in for these companies. And we do it via this. This is London Real Ventures. It's the world's first media-powered investment firm. This has never been done in history, where you take a massive media channel like London Real, 12 years, 1 billion views, 5 million worldwide subscribers, over 1,000 of the greatest interviews in the world, and you plug it into a venture capital company with millions and millions of dollars of capital. It's 2 great tastes that taste great together, right? The old peanut butter, Reese's peanut butter cup commercials, right? No one's ever put these 2 things together, and everybody wants a piece of this. Because what does a company really want? They don't want money. What do they want? They want customers. That determines the success of a company, not money. Money's not going to get more money. You need customers. And that's what we bring to the table via London Real Ventures. We've already invested in a bunch of companies. You can see them here. And we're seeing the hottest deal flow in the world. I take those deals and I pass it on to a very small group of people from London Real, our family that has joined us behind the scenes. We invest in companies like this, Orange Comet. This is Dave Broom, the CEO. This is an incredible company that's building metaverses that are AI empowered with some of the biggest Hollywood franchises in the world, like amazing companies. Some I could talk about, some I can't. This is another one of our companies. This is Eric Poulier, the CEO of Vadim, who was recently in my studio. They are building metaverses for the biggest companies in the world, like Google, Slack, PepsiCo, Frito-Lay, and again, doing amazing things. This is Jason Ma. He's the CEO of Open, which is the hottest new Web3 super app for artists and creators. We're actually just closing this investment right now. And on top of that, we are investing in this fund called 1RT. It's $1 billion fund that literally invests in the bricks and mortars, the picks and shovels of the future blockchain industry. I'm telling you, folks, I couldn't be more excited to put money in this investment. We're really blessed to be able to get this opportunity. It's because I have a great relationship with Dan Tapiero. These are some of the amazing companies he's already invested in, and we're literally going to be invested in the building blocks of the future blockchain ecosystem. And of course, we have our OpenAI killer, a deal that I'll share you with a little bit later, that we think is actually going to be the winner takes all in this space. We think it potentially could be the most valuable company in the world in a few years' time. And I'll tell you a few about more of those details. And if that wasn't enough, Martini, we've also got our metaverse deal. which actually I think we've just fully funded yesterday. And that's called Life Beyond. It's a metaverse where fiction becomes reality. And it's all created by Animoca Brands, which is, one of the largest gaming venture capital firms in the world. We're working on all these deals as we speak. I know, how do we do this? And look completely together. I don't know. We found a way to do it. But what we do is we offer all of these deals onto our London Real family, which is a community we call the Investment Club that gets the opportunity, again, the option, not the obligation, to invest as little as $5,000 up to $100,000 each in these deals. I'll tell you more about that later. So we are literally writing checks, which means when I talk about this stuff, I can speak with some authority. We're not just some podcaster. I'm not some professor at a school that doesn't really know what they're doing. We see AI companies pitch to us every single week. So I can tell you what's happening out there. This is our thesis, folks. We believe the greatest way to predict the future is to go out and create it. How many people agree with this statement? Go create this future, right? Don't complain about it. Don't hope. Don't pray. Create the damn future. And what do we have? We've got one of the greatest media channels in the world. We've got chunks of capital. Why not create the future, right? We've done this in the past and we're going to do it again. So that's what our thesis is here. And it all comes down to the mission here at London Real. And you'll see this on the wall if you ever stop by the headquarters. We are here to create a mass scale transformation of humanity into a fully empowered, conscious, and cooperative species. Everything we do here at London Real has to fit this mission statement or we don't do it. Every piece of content, every documentary film, every course I teach, every masterclass that I teach like this is here to empower you, to educate you, to make you more conscious and cooperative. This is the same as our investment thesis. We only invest in companies that have our same mission statement. I'm not interested in investing in an AI company that's going to dominate the world. I'm not interested in investing in a company that's going to disempower humans. This is what it's all about. And that makes us a very, very special place. It gives us a lot of amazing positive energy as well, I won't lie. And there's no shock that some of the greatest founders in the world come to us. Is it coincidence? I don't know. I'd like to think that it's a little bit more than that. So we're vibrating on a really high frequency. People feel it. And we're taking this mission all the way to building some of the biggest, most multi-trillion-dollar companies in the world. And on top of that, folks, for me, it's also a little bit personal because I got these two guys to worry about. This is Caden on the right. He's 7. This is Damon, who's 6 in the middle. And this is my future. And I am very concerned about their teenage years that are going to be potentially dominated by machines that are 1,000 times smarter than they are. And so I get up a little extra early and I stay a little extra late because I have to look out for them. On top of trying to make all of my investment club members filthy rich, which I will do, I also want to make sure that they are protected, to make sure that they can have a reality that resembles something like my teenage years. Does anybody here have similar concerns about you or your family, that you want to make sure that they grow up in a world that's not just run by machines? Well, I worry about it. And Caden asked me that question the other day. He said, Papa, what are we going to do if the robots are smarter than us? So this is real and it's on their mind. So for us, it's personal here, which I kind of like. It means we have even more skin in the game. And so again, let's jump into it. Again, we've seen the billions of dollars being invested in this industry. We've seen people raising $100 million when their company is 1 month old. We've seen that companies like Salesforce are dumping out $500 million into this sector. We've seen how China's ByteDance is gobbling up billions of dollars of chips by NVIDIA. We know there's cash being pumped into this sector. And I went back to MIT last year, where I graduated some 30 years ago. Hard to believe I'm saying that. And I stopped by the Sloan School of Management, where I took business classes. That's their business school at MIT, where I graduated. And all my professors said, Brian, an AI productivity boom is coming. You got to look out for this. I then went to my fraternity house, where I lived when I was there on Massachusetts Avenue. And I asked the 50 young men that were graduating, where are you going to work? Are you going to go work on Wall Street like I did? Are you going to go work for McKinsey, who made that report? Are you going to work for Google or Sam Altman? They said, no, we're all going to work for startups, AI and blockchain startups. Folks, follow the money and follow the talent. That's how you know where to invest. Does that make sense to everybody here? Just hands up if that concept makes sense. So I've got inside information here because I know where the smart lines are going. I know what the professors are saying, and I know where the money is going, which gives us an extra advantage when it comes to investing. This is Peter Diamandis. He's also an MIT graduate, becoming a good friend of mine. He was on my show recently. He hangs out with Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and lots of really high-level people in Silicon Valley. He's the founder of Singularity University. So he's been talking about AI for a long time, and he created the X Prize Foundation. And he came on recently and said, Brian, AI is going to cause turmoil, hacks, and job losses. But he also said there's some good news as well. And I wanted to share with you what Peter said, because I think it's very relevant to what's happening here. And also, I like Peter because he wrote a book called Abundance recently. And he's got both pros and cons when it comes to looking at this stuff. So listen to what Peter said.
We're going to start to see generative AI in the form of deep fakes and disruptions causing turmoil. We're going to see loss of jobs. We will see the first Wall Street servers hacked by AIs, or the first power plants, and there will be concern that comes from that. These things are coming. The question is, will that AI be dystopian? Will it be the Terminator? Or will it be a benevolent entity supporting humanity, wanting us to be our best? It's tough to predict where things are going, but the convergence of these exponential technologies are allowing entrepreneurs to reinvent the future every single day.
And anybody listening should be trying to incorporate AI into every aspect of their business at this point.
Listen, if you're not an AI-first company, I understand that. That's okay. But at a minimum, what you need to do as the CEO, as the leader, is identify and bring in a chief AI officer, someone who understands who's out there. What's the topology look like? Who are the major players out there in the world? We humans have been the most extraordinary problem solvers ever. We're still here. We have solved so many problems over the years. We're really good at seeing the problems far away. We accelerate them to today, we freak out, but then we still have time with all the new technologies to solve them, and we do. And I have confidence that we will. And I have confidence that we have the ability to uplift every man, woman, and child on this planet and create this incredible world of abundance. So I really hope people walk away from this conversation, Brian, empowered about the future and knowing that they can make a real dent in the universe.
We like Peter, right? We're getting a lot out of him, right? Yeah, I really like Peter. And look, he said that every company now needs to be AI first if you want to survive. And he said, look, if you don't understand AI, you have to have a chief AI officer. And so I'd say to anybody here, if you're not adopting AI in your business or in your personal life in a massive way, you're going to be left behind. And if you're not investing in some way in AI as well, you're going to be left behind. And folks, there's no time left. You cannot wait until next year. There's not going to be an AI winter, right? This is moving at an exponential rate, and you've got to be involved and invested now, is what I would say. So I love perspectives like Peter's, because it really keeps us on track here with what we're doing inside our investments and our awareness of what's going on. And so this is a major point I wanted to highlight while you're on the call today. And this came out in the publication Barron's recently. And it said, Microsoft and Google want to dominate the AI economy, but open source models are a threat. Now pay attention to what I'm going to show you, because this was a leaked Google memo that came out a few months ago that didn't get enough media coverage, in my opinion. And it was them admitting defeat by open source AI. This is crazy. Now, on the right, you can see literally quotes from the article, but basically the senior AI engineer said, we've done a lot of competing with OpenAI, but the uncomfortable truth is that neither one of us is winning. There's a third party that's been eating our lunch, and it's open source. He went on to talk about how Meta's Llama model had been leaked to the public. And following that, they saw a tremendous outpouring of innovation with just days between major developments, days. Now, this happens when you open source something because you get the whole hive mind, everybody in the world working on it. It said anyone can tinker. Many of the new ideas are coming from ordinary people, high school students, college kids, truck drivers that are playing around. And they went on to say the barrier to entry has dropped from, say, $10 billion, 10,000 engineers, to one person, an evening, and a beefy laptop, right? Raise your hand if that makes sense to everybody here, right? So I didn't see this coming. I really thought you had to have billions of dollars to power the GPUs to make these developments, but this was a big shock to everybody. And it goes to show that open source very well could beat these big trillion-dollar technology giants at their own game. And I like to hear this. And by the way, there's evidence this is already happening, because if you look at the image models for AI, you can see that 1 year ago on August 12th of 2022, you saw DALL-E, which is ChatGPT's image model, versus Stable Diffusion, which is an open source model. Stable Diffusion started beating DALL-E, and now it exports 4 times the volume because it's open source. So there's already evidence that this has already happened, and it's going to continue to happen. This is a big, big eye-opening development, and it's one of the reasons we're investing how we are behind the scenes. Now I want to talk about this gentleman. This is Dr. Ben Goertzel, and he's the CEO and chief scientist of Singularity Net. And this picture is both of us looking about 4 years younger, because this was back in 2019 when Ben was on my show, because I wanted to talk about this crazy thing called AI. Now, little did I know that we would be so heavily involved in this 4 years later. But for me, it was another interesting conversation, like I might speak with Dr. Joe Dispenza or Dan Pena or Dave Goggins. Here was Dr. Ben Goertzel. We had an amazing conversation, and an hour later, I forgot everything he told me, right? Because it just wasn't that important. Then what happened? ChatGPT came out, and I called Ben up in January and said, Ben, you got to come back on. And he said, Brian, guess what? My token's up 10x, because he was on the blockchain with Singularity Net, ticker AGIX. And I said, Ben, you got to come on and give us an update. And he said, okay, Brian. And so we all started making predictions. Like, what was Ben going to say? Was he going to move forward a bunch of his predictions? Was he going to tell us that the world was going to end in the next week? Because I really value what Ben has to say in this space. And so Ben came on, and this is what he told me earlier this year.
We are leaping into the great unknown, creating machines that are much smarter than us. This is either exciting or frightening or both, depending on your personality.
Will AI exterminate humanity?
Eliezer Yudkowsky, a decade or two ago, he said, the AI does not love you. The AI does not hate you, but it can use your atoms for something else. Actually, my view tends to be that AI is the greatest hope we have to save humanity from exterminating itself.
I don't think anyone in the world understands how this will be the most transformational time in human history.
I have a 5-year-old son, a 1-year-old daughter, and a 4-year-old granddaughter. By the time they're turned 18, the whole texture of human life and the nature of the world they grow up into is going to be incredibly different from the world that we see now. Like, they're never going to have to get jobs. On the whole, I'm an optimist. I have a spiritual or intuitive feeling that things are going to come out awesomely in the next 10 years. We're going to overcome material scarcity. We're going to create machines that can feed into our brains via brain-computer interfacing and help uplift human consciousness. And we're going to port into virtual worlds and achieve like states of intelligence and awareness going way beyond anything we can imagine now. So that's what the Captain Kirk in my head thinks. We're on the verge of engineered utopia. It's incredible. It's a remarkably weird and fortuitous thing to be living at such a time.
All right, what do we think of Dr. Ben? We like his vibe. We like his energy, right? I like Dr. Ben. First of all, he's an OG in this space. He's been like in AI for 35 years, which is unheard of. He coined the term AGI, which is artificial general intelligence, talking about human level intelligence. And he's both equally optimistic and also realistic about the future. And so after that episode, I called Ben up. We had a Zoom call, and I said, Ben, I want you to be our AI advisor for London Real Ventures, because we're going to be writing some big checks this year. We want to not only change the future of AI, we want to make sure it works in the right way. And I want to make my investors a boatload of money. And he said, okay, Brian, let me come back to you. I think I've got something else for you. So I waited 2 weeks. He came back on a Zoom call, and he introduced me to one of his colleagues. And this is the phone call that kind of changed everything, because Ben came on and he introduced me to this amazing woman who is Janet Adams. And Janet is the COO, operating officer of Singularity Net, where Ben works. And he said, Brian, Janet is going to be the co-CEO of Zarka. Zarka is our answer to ChatGPT. It's our large language model. But guess what, Brian? We're not going to solve narrow AI. I'm not trying to predict the next word. We're going to solve for artificial general intelligence, human intelligence. He said, we believe we've already won this game. We're playing chess, they're playing checkers, and we love your value system, and we want you to be with us on this project. So I said, great, let me meet Janet. And I went actually to a meetup out in London, and I met her, and she really impressed me. And I said, Janet, we got to get you in this leather chair ASAP, because this is moving fast and the world needs to hear about your vision. So I got Janet in the studio, and she basically explained her vision of what Zarka was. And needless to say, it kind of blew my mind as far as what was going on there. And this is Janet talking about Zarka.
Artificial general intelligence is completely different to narrow AI. AGI is more purpose-driven. It's a watershed moment for humanity.
Tell me about Zarka. This is the project that will create the AGI. It's a supercharged, intelligent, neurosymbolic, large language model at massive scale. What is it?
Zarka is the accumulation of decades of research from teams containing the best artificial intelligence scientists in the world. We uniquely harness that expertise with our even more unique capabilities in neural symbolic techniques and the deeply advanced mathematics that Dr. Ben Goertzel, Dr. Matt Ickley, Dr. Alexei Potapov, and our top scientist, Sergei Shalyapin, have been working on for decades. We are building the most powerful large models ever invented.
With Zarka and Singularity Net and everything you've always done, it's always been about openness. It's always been about decentralization.
We'll be using blockchain technology to enable anybody to help train models. We're giving birth to a new species of sentient life in the universe. The actual greatest imperative is that they are used for good. The rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer. Our goal, our mission is to eradicate inequalities.
When I look at the rest of the market now, I don't see any of those motivations, because a corporation, by definition, is going to be motivated by money. You're the only project that even is thinking in any way, shape, or form about these.
We are going to transform what it means to be human on our planet. I foresee a future in which humans then evolve to a next level of being where we are actually conscious, where we feel our full joy engulfed in bliss and ecstasy of the joy of living, the joy of each other. I see a future of joy.
All right, what do we think of Janet? We feeling Janet's energy? Look, Janet brings something really unique to the table. She brings some great female energy to a space dominated by male scientist energy on the spectrum, right? I know, I went to MIT with a bunch of these guys. So she's got a great vision. She's a great operator. She's a very savvy businesswoman, spent about 15 years here in the city of London. And look, needless to say, we were very impressed, and we have gone all in on Zarka. And so we believe that, you know, it's the hottest artificial intelligence project in the world. I'm calling it the OpenAI killer. And like I said, we're closing our deal right now to write them a big check, because we think they're going to be a winner in this space. And I'll share a little bit more information on them shortly. So folks, if you haven't got the message yet, 2023 is the year of AI, right? Now is the time to create generational wealth. You cannot wait to 2024. I would argue you don't even want to wait till October or November on this, because things are happening at the speed of light. Look what Elon did with Tesla over the weekend, right? We've got big crypto announcements happening this week. We've got lots happening in AI. And all of a sudden, it's just going to be too late. It's just going to be too late. And the opportunities are going to be gone. But they are still existing right now. And so you're asking yourself, okay, Brian, well, where and how do we invest? How do I do this? Well, I'm going to show you how. Because it all really comes down to three things. First of all, you got to find the hottest trend. Right? You've got to find the hottest trend. For us, we believe it's artificial intelligence in an open source, decentralized way. From there, it comes down to three things: deal flow, and more deal flow. Because if you don't see the deal, you're never going to know the opportunity that you're missing. You could have $1 billion, but if you don't know Ben from Zarka, then you're going to miss out on that deal. You could be the smartest AI person in the world, but if you don't see the deal, there's no way you're going to make money in this market. Does that make sense to everybody here? This is crucial. What do they say? It's not what you know, but who you know, right? Now, when I was at MIT, that used to frustrate me because it was all about what I knew. But when I got to Wall Street, I realized it was who you know. Okay. Now, being smart helps, But if you don't see the deals, you're never going to know that this is going to happen. Imagine investing in OpenAI 2-3 years ago. None of you had heard of OpenAI 2-3 years ago because you weren't talking to someone in the deal flow. And so that's why when I'm not in the studio recording episodes, when I'm not here talking to you, when I'm not in my crypto and DeFi Academy teaching my students, I am on the road. That's what I do, folks. It's not something I love doing, but it's something I do because the deals happen outside of my studio. This is me in Dubai last year at the GITEX, the largest technology conference in the world, 100,000 people here. I'm hanging out with some of the biggest crypto influencers in the world. I'm hanging out with government officials and a bunch of venture capital people as well. I'll be back here in October. Next, I'm off to Paris. This is a private dinner I had with some high-level venture capitalists and some of the biggest startup companies that were happening at the time. I'm shooting media. I'm also hanging out with some of our portfolio companies. In the upper right is Swissborg, one of our investments, and Cross the Ages, which is the hottest blockchain gaming company out there right now. Then I'm back to London, where I went to Token 2049, and I got to spend time with Yatsu. Yatsu is the chairman of Animoca Brands, pretty much the largest VC when it comes to gaming. They have over 600 investments, a $4 billion fund. And he is the single most important guy right now in the metaverse. And he's become a good friend. And I really value that. Then I'm off to the conference, hanging out with more people that are influential. Then I was back to Paris. I'm hanging out with Tim Draper, legendary Silicon Valley investor on the right. In the bottom is Dan Tapiero. He's his fund, the $1 billion fund, is what we're investing in. More influencers, more portfolio companies. And then I went out to Texas to hang out with Ben Goertzel to make sure we lock in our investment for Zarka. And I also got to hang out with, Captain James T. Kirk of the Starship Enterprise. You can see William Shatner there on the top. And the reason I got to meet my childhood hero is because Orange Comet, Dave Broom, one of our investments, was doing his digital collectible. So I got behind the scenes. I was in the green room hanging out with my hero. I sent my dad a picture. He was like, what? And then while I was there, I got to introduce Yatsu to Dave Broom, because if potentially Yatsu invests in Dave Broom's company, then we can exit next year for a 200, maybe a 300x return on our investment. And I can make all of my investment club a boatload of money. So this is what I'm doing behind the scenes to source the deals and to make sure that our investments become massive multi-billion-dollar companies. Does that make sense to everybody here? I'm in Singapore in 2 weeks, if anybody wants to see me out there, and then I'm back to Dubai in October, and then around and around we go, because magic things happen when you're in presence with these people. And I'm expecting a lot of magic things to happen in Singapore and Dubai this year. So folks, you've got to invest with the best. Otherwise, you have no chance of making money in this market. And there's a lot of nonsense deals out there. There's a lot of people out there that will take your money and you'll never see them again. Happens with any bull market, all right? And so we are looking at hundreds and hundreds of deals every single month, right? We see pitch decks. We talk to CEOs every single week live on a Zoom call, just like this, actually. Every single week, a CEO from one of the top companies out there comes on and pitches us. It's like Shark Tank. I grill them, I put them over the coals, and my whole investment club gets to watch. It's like a sport, right? We're like at the Roman Colosseum. And at the end, Martini goes like this or this, and we either throw them off the call or we give them a bunch of money. It's not that simple, but that's basically what it is. We want to see if I can punch holes in their model. We want to see how they act under pressure. And we want to see if this is worthy of our investments. And that's what we're doing all the time here. Right? But that's not enough, folks. You've got to understand the financial tools. Otherwise, you're going to lose all your money again, even if you find the right deal. What do I mean by that? I mean this. We have identified that early stage metaverse and artificial intelligence equity investment, it's the hottest opportunity out there. Why? Why, you ask? Well, this is why. You buy at super low valuations. You see the biggest gains possible. You invest in what I'm calling the biggest dislocation of wealth in human history. Yes, it's high risk. I will agree with you. It's high risk, but the rewards are even higher. This is the best way to get asymmetric returns. Now, what do I mean by early stage investments? Well, all beginning companies go through 3 stages of funding: seed funding, startup funding, and early growth funding. This is where we get involved. Let me give you an example. It might be an easier way to understand this. Does anybody know this guy on the left? Raise your hand if you've seen his face before, right? It's Mark Zuckerberg. He started a company called Facebook, and this guy on the right is Peter Thiel, who invested. Now, Peter Thiel turned $500,000 into $1 billion. Let me show you how. Back in 2004, Peter invested $500,000 in Facebook via, wait for it, early stage equity private placement, exactly what I've been talking about. At the time, it valued the company at $10 million. Okay, fair enough. What happened next? In 2012, Facebook IPO'd. Now it's selling shares to the public. So now you, Paul Margani, and you, Leo Byrne, and you, Brenda, and you, Petya, and you, Patricia, and you, Doomy, and you, Virginia, now you can buy shares. But guess what? You don't get to buy them when the company's at $10 million. You got to pay for the company being valued at $100 billion, right? Because on Wall Street, we all know one thing to be true, right, Leo? Right, Paul? Whenever you sell shares to the public, that's when you sell them to the suckers, right? Because the public are sheep and sheep get slaughtered. That's the way Wall Street treats the public. All right, raise your hand if that sounds harsh. It is harsh, okay? I don't make the rules, but this is what I was taught, and nothing's changed up until now, okay? Now, what happened after the IPO? Well, Peter Thiel, look at the smile on his face. He made a 2,300x on his investment. That's a 230,000% return. Has anyone here ever heard of anyone making a 230,000% return on an investment? Right? I mean, look, I worked on Wall Street for 15 years. I never heard one person ever make that. And what happened after they sold shares to the public? People like you, Paul, and Leo, and Martin. What happened to the price of the stock? Did it go up? No, it went down. Of course it went down. Because you are used to make sure Peter gets paid. Does that make sense? Peter sells his shares to you. He makes massive amounts of money, makes $1 billion, and you get stuck holding the bill. This is what happens, folks. All right. So what do we learn? The wealthy invest in early stage deals. A simple $10,000 investment would have made you $23 million, Carol Danson. $23 million. Who here could use an extra 23 mil right about now before Christmas? Raise your hand. Yeah. Virginia doesn't have her hands up. Virginia's like, no, Brian, more money, more problems. Not me. Okay, it's fine. I'll find somebody to take that money. Now, even if you only put $1,000 in, you would have made 2.3 million. Okay. This is asymmetric investing, folks. This is what we do here on the inside. What else did we learn? The public markets are for suckers. Whenever you go buy a share of Tesla on the NASDAQ or a share of Apple, whenever you go buy something from a public market, a guy like Peter has already taken the juice out of the trade. Does that make sense to everybody here? Raise your hand. Whenever some bank on Wall Street is trying to sell you a share, go the other way, run the other way, because they're not doing you any favors, because the public markets are for suckers. How many people here own crypto? Anybody own some Bitcoin? It's up $2,000 in the last 2 hours. Congratulations. Well, guess what? This happens in crypto as well. It's called a pre-sale token. Pre-selling is the same thing that I just showed you, except it happens with tokens, and it can happen a lot faster. Let me give you an example. Anybody heard of Solana? It's just only one of the 10 largest protocols out there. Anybody here own Solana? Raise your hand if you own some Solana. Anybody? Okay, good. Well, guess what? They did a pre-sale token back in the day. I bet you didn't even know they did this. Well, take a look. Back on April 5th of 2018, they sold tokens. Can everybody see the red circle here? For 4 cents, right? They raised $3.17 million. They sold 79 million tokens. Can everybody see my red circles here? Right? Okay. What happens? By the way, this is all on the blockchain. It's public knowledge. Don't take my word for it. Go look it up. What happens? Well, Solana now trades about 20 bucks, which means if you bought it back then, you could have made a 59,000% return. So Virginia, you would have made, maybe you make 5.9 million instead of 23 million. All right. How many people here saw that return? How many people here bought them for 4 cents? Anybody buy Solana at 4 cents? Of course you didn't, because you didn't know me. You didn't know someone that was in the deal. So you had no idea this was happening. This is probably the first time you ever heard of this actually happening, right? Matter of fact, most of you probably bought Solana at $200 during the bull run at the end of 21, when all the news websites were writing about it, when your grandma bought it, when the taxi driver bought it, and now you're down 90% on your investment instead of up 59,000%. Raise your hand if this is the story of your crypto trading career. Come on, be honest. Little bit, right? That's because you're hanging out with the wrong people. You're getting your information from the wrong sources, all right? You've got to be in the deals, folks. That's how you're going to make the big returns. And so you're asking me, okay, Brian, how do I create the generational wealth that I believe you deserve? You got to pull the trigger, folks. If you don't pull the trigger, you have no chance. You can listen to everything I'm saying tonight. You can walk away and be like, oh, wow, thank you, Brian. If you don't pull the trigger, you're going to stay poor. That's just the bottom line. These are some of the 500 pitch decks that we've seen come through our investment club in the last 18 months. These are screenshots from all the different companies that are trying to get us to invest in them. All right. We see so many deals. We talk to so many CEOs. We've got our finger on the pulse of the market. We track every single deal in our deal flow monitor. We track the name of the deal, the blockchain it's on. Is it a token sale? Is it an equity sale? How much they looking to raise? 500,000, 1 million, 3 million, 10 million. What's the valuation? 25 million, 50 million, 100 million. We track all of these things. All right. This is Dave Broom from Vadim, one of our investments. We love this company. They're doing incredible, incredible things. They're working with some of the biggest stars out there, including William Shatner, Sir Anthony Hopkins, Scottie Pippen of the Chicago Bulls, the NFL, The Walking Dead. The movie franchises they're working with are off the charts, folks. They're working with the hottest movies in Hollywood. I can't tell you the names. It's amazing. All right. This is my interview with David Broom. It's been watched over 110,000 times. All right. People are loving our content, and that's why we see the hottest deals on the planet. This is Swissborg, the #1 crypto wealth manager in Europe. All right. These guys are literally building the bank of the future, and we're going to use their platform to bring a lot of our investments to public markets in the future. All right. We are literally building a London real world here, where we're going to use this to make my students billions of dollars. This is our press release with Swissborg. This is Eric Poulier of Vadim. They are creating metaverses for the biggest companies in the world. Like I said, Google, Slack, PepsiCo, Frito-Lay. This is my interview with Eric Poulier. It's blown up. This is Jason Ma, right? He is the founder of Open, which is the hottest new Web3 super app. This deal closed a long time ago. They raised $28 million at a $100 million valuation with the biggest players in the world. Animoca Brands, Warner Brothers Music, Galaxy Digital. We got in on this deal after it was closed. Folks, this is unheard of. And I got all of my family, my London Real members here, access to this deal. We're putting $500,000 in this company after it closed. This is, like I said, unheard of. But we're getting the access because of our media platform. And of course, there's the $1 billion fund, which is Dan Tapioro's 1RT that I'm getting access to. We're about to write them $1 million check. And then there's the OpenAI AI killer. Folks, this is the hottest artificial intelligence project in the world. And it's Zarka. It's a supercharged, intelligent, neurosymbolic, large language model from Singularity Net at massive scale. It's got the sickest AI team in the business. Look at these folks. And guess what? These folks don't want to work for Google. They don't want to work for OpenAI. They want to work for Dr. Ben Goertzel. Now, look, what are they doing? This is the ChatGPT moment, right? But this is the problem. Deep neural nets have no ability to reason in complex world environments. They don't know when they're wrong. They simply memorize instead of thinking. That's a huge problem, folks. Enter neurosymbolic AI. This is what Ben has been working on for decades, right? These have strong logical reasoning. They can figure things out. It's got explosive potential, and it escapes the AI monopoly of Silicon Valley. They are into smart contracts. They've been using the blockchain. It's decentralized and open source, which is exactly what we want. These folks are already building their timeline here. Proof of concept by the end of the year. They're going to start rolling out products early 24. They already have AGI supremacy. Again, they're playing chess while the rest of the market's playing checkers. This is some conservative revenue estimates of $55 billion. You put a 100x multiple on that, that's a $5 trillion company. It's the biggest company in the world. Folks, this is a winner-take-all scenario. And on top of that, these are good people. My ethics are aligned with them. If I've got to trust the future of my sons to anybody, it's going to be Janet and Ben over Sundar and Altman in Silicon Valley. Is anybody with me here? Right? Look, you got to place your bets on somebody. And this is what we're doing here. So my question for you is simple. Is this the next 1,000x return investment? Does anybody here think it could be? We do, obviously. And that's what we're doing in here, folks. You know, London Real Ventures is literally giving us access to the hottest deals in the world. And I'm passing on that deal flow to a small group of our most trusted members inside London Real. These are our investment portfolio that we've invested in already. And this is what I call our quadruple threat. All right. And you can see this is what we offer here. First, production. I create a beautiful 2.5-hour interview showcasing the CEO of this company. Second, we distribute that out to 5 million potential customers worldwide. That's mind-boggling. Third, I connect you with 1,000 of the most influential people in the world, from venture capital to influencers. Hell, I know Navy SEALs, I know Nobel Prize winners, you name it, we got you. And number 4, we write you a big fat check. Nobody's doing what we're doing, and that gives us crazy access to deal flow. So you're asking, okay, Brian, how do I learn how to invest? Well, you've got to surround yourself with the best. Now, how many people agree with this statement on the screen? You're the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. Come on, you've all heard this before. You know it's true. And who are you hanging out with? One of my mentors used to say, losers, that's who you're hanging out with. He was talking to me, but maybe I'm talking to you. Are anybody in your 5 members right now, well, probably your friends and family, are any of them working on a $1 billion company right now? Raise your hand. Are they building a $1 billion company? Are they doing a TED Talk anytime soon? Are they writing a New York Times bestselling book? No, they're not, right? Because you're not hanging out with those people because those people don't want to hang out with you. Until you change your peer group, you have no chance of creating generational wealth. I'm sorry. I'm here to tell you tonight, I'm not going to tell you the key. The key is changing your peer group. If you surround yourself with successful people, you will be successful. Raise your hand if you agree with me there. I'm going to give you some examples, right? And quite frankly, this has been the story of my life, right? These are 3 versions of Brian, all right? I'm about to put a 4th one on the screen in the future. Now, the bottom left, you got skinny Brian. He's 16. I'm in San Diego, California. I just bought my Ford Mustang, right? And my peer group is a bunch of high school kids. So what do you think my income was back then? I think I was making $6 an hour at a pretty good job. It was like a programming job in the summer. I had enough money to save $1,200 to buy that car, right? But at that point, my peer group wasn't exactly wealthy, plugged in individuals. And guess what? I got paid accordingly. Everybody with me here so far, right? Okay, let's move to 12 o'clock. Here I am at MIT. 4 years later, I'm graduating from MIT. Now I'm surrounded with some of the smartest people in the world, but they haven't made it yet. They're still broke as a joke, right? I think that year I made a total of $3,000 from a summer job, and getting beer money was a struggle. I used to go down to the sofas and look for quarters and stuff, right? Still broke because my peer group was better, but it still wasn't surrounded with highly successful, wealthy individuals. Now, fast forward just 2 years later to the right, now I'm on Wall Street. I'm on the 33rd floor of Bankers Trust Plaza, right next to the World Trade Center when it was still there. And I'm on a floor with 300 alpha males and females making anywhere between $3 and $12 million a piece a year. And what do you think happened to my income? Do you think it went up? Right? I was 24 years old. I think I made $210,000 that year. That's ridiculous. Now, did I become that much smarter and more capable in 2 years? Let's be honest. No. What did I do? All I did, folks, was I surrounded myself with a better peer group. If you surround yourself with millionaires, your chance of becoming a millionaire goes up about 10x. If you surround yourself with people making $10 million a year, I mean, they still would make jokes about how much I made that year. They literally would make fun of me for making $200,000 a year because I was the poorest guy on the trading floor. But when you're 24, you'll take it. So again, I didn't get any smarter. All I did was change my peer group, and that caused me to be successful. Is everybody with me here? Right? Now, if I stay in that peer group long enough, pretty soon I'll be making what they're going to make, right? And this is exactly what you have to do. And so, folks, you've got to get in a new peer group. You've got to find any way possible to get yourself in a better peer group. It's very difficult to do because most of the peer group you want to be around doesn't want to hang out with you because you're not bringing something to their table. So guess what? This is what we do inside my investment club. Meet Marianne Bartels. Okay. She's the chief information officer for Merrill Lynch Bank of America. She's a 35-year Wall Street veteran. She's one of the founding members of my investment club. She knows more about financial instruments, stocks and bonds, inflation than anyone I've ever met. She knows what the Federal Reserve in America is going to do before they do it. For all I know, she tells them what to do. Okay. This is your new peer group, folks. Okay. She's on the Zoom calls. This is who you get to hang out with now in my group. Is that an upgrade for anybody here? Raise your hand if that's an upgrade, right? And guess what? Marianne's invested in Vadim. Marianne's invested in Orange Comet. Marianne's invested in Zarka. Marianne's invested in Open. Why? Because Marianne knows what the hell she's doing. She's almost the first check that goes into these deals. Okay. I have 83 of these members in this group. This is one of them. Okay. That's Marianne. This is Andrew Haynes. He's our metaverse expert. He built this mansion inside the sandbox on his own. He's got a digital collectible gallery. He goes to one of the top executive training schools in Switzerland and hangs out with some of the best AI scientists in the world. If you're stuck on the metaverse, he will literally get on a Zoom call with you. This is your new peer group. Meet Dr. Encore, right? And 2 years ago, he was in medicine. He took my crypto and DeFi accelerator and he completely transformed his career. 2 years later, I just hired him full-time to work at London Real Ventures, right? He brought us the Vadim deal. He brought us the Orange Common deal based on what I taught him in the investment club. And he created a YouTube channel because I told him to upload one video to YouTube a year ago, and he never stopped. He did one every single day for a year. So did Petya, that's right here on this call. And she kept going. Petya's at 400 or 500 right now, right? He got offered $100,000 in pre-sale tokens for free the other day to advise on a company. And he turned it down because it's not a good offer. This is where you could be if you change your peer group. And I got another 80 of these people in there that will become your new friends and family. That's what we do inside here. And so folks, it all comes down to this statement. Your net worth is your network. How many people agree with this? I'm telling you, learn this now. Find any way possible to hack your network. I hacked my way into MIT. I hacked my way onto Wall Street. What do you think London Real is? It's a network hack. That's all it is. How else am I going to get Dan Pena to come into my studio? How else am I going to hang out with the biggest venture capital companies in the world? What do you think I'm doing here, folks? Right? Right? I keep playing the same tune over and over again, and it's just more and more success. You've got to get your network sorted, and your network will start skyrocketing after that. And so this is my theory. This is the way we teach inside the investment club is this. You give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. You teach him how to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. We teach people how to fish inside our investment club, like Dr. Encore, and they become incredible assets, and they become incredible members that go out there and source deals and make things happen. And that's why I created my investment club, because in 2021, we invested in our first deal. It was Cross the Ages. It's the hottest gaming company in blockchain. And folks, at the time, I had studied finance at the MIT Sloan School of Management. I worked for 15 years at the highest levels of international finance on Wall Street. I worked in Chicago. I worked here in London as well. And I had never heard of pre-sale tokens. And quite frankly, it scared the bejesus out of me. I didn't even know what these things were. And I thought, if this makes me uncomfortable, none of you have any chance of learning this ever in a million years. And I thought, we've got to teach this right now. And that's what we did. We created the investment club. It's application only. We open up 10 spaces every single quarter. It's 6 modules, 3 months of coursework for a 12-month program. But guess what, folks? No one's ever left my program, because why would you want to leave? Everyone is an asset in my group because we teach them how to be an asset. So at this point, it's a lifetime course. Every single week, we have a top CEO pitching on the call. You have a private Telegram group, private Discord group. You have access to all of our investment club deal flow. And I give you a full bonus year of Kings of DeFi, which is our advanced crypto and DeFi program that'll bring you up to speed if you're not sure about anything in the blockchain or Web3 space. Next live call is Thursday, 7:15 p.m. And this is what we do, folks. We teach this all remotely. Like I said, we got 80 plus members in 20 countries around the world, the best community we've ever created. This is how I teach in real time. I'm constantly changing the curriculum as the market changes. I'm also changing the colors of my shirts and ties as the market changes, right? I like to shake it up a little bit. And this is our curriculum. Module 1, what is a blockchain AI metaverse presale? We walk you through what you need to know here. Module 2 is what is a SAFT and a safe. By the way, raise your hand if you've heard of a SAFT or you know what it is, or a safe. A couple of people here that have been on a call before. The fact that most of you don't know what a SAFT is, it's scandalous. It's a shame. It's embarrassing. And it means you're going to stay poor, because this is a basic financial tool that's used in any early stage deal. The reason you don't know this is because Wall Street doesn't want you to know it. They want you to stay stupid, which means you're going to stay poor, which means you're going to be the ones that make Peter Thiel rich. Does that make sense, everybody? Raise your hand. Otherwise, you're going to be Peter Thiel. A SAFT is a simple agreement for future tokens. It's how you do pre-sale tokens. A SAFE is a simple agreement for future equity. It's how you do early stage equity investments. The fact you don't know that should be a sign to you that you need to get this education. Module 3 is Deal Flow Part 1. I teach you due diligence, how you evaluate these companies, team, technology, traction, tokenomics, terms and conditions, the 5 T's. Module 4 is Deal Flow Part 2. I tell you how to source the deals, what conference to go to, what ticket to buy, what to wear, how to exchange information. You can walk out of a conference with 10 or 12 deals. Carol came to Paris with me. She walked away with 12 deals, right? One of my students came to Consensus in Texas with me, walked away with 14 deals, right? We teach you how to fish, folks. Module 5 is how to nurture your early stage investments. Just like I introduced Orange Comet to Yatsu of Animoca Brands, right? We want to make sure they grow and grow and grow. And module 6 is how to get all the cash out and back into your bank account. And then you can invest again and invest again. That's what we're going to do here, folks. This is our Telegram group. This is our Discord group. And this is the investment club, folks. We are oversubscribed. We are every single quarter because everyone wants in on this course. We have 7 confirmed spaces, 1 on hold. There's either 2 spaces left or 1 space left. I don't know. Martini's working 24 hours a day. She barely gets her head above water to even tell me what's going on. The investment in this potentially lifelong experience with us is $50,000, and that will double to $100,000 in our next class. I understand that's a significant investment, and I agree with you. It's a significant amount of money, but it has an unlimited financial return. Think about that, an unlimited financial return. And this is the greatest wealth creation event in human history. This is your chance to partake in it with people that are actually writing checks right now. And our special investment opportunity is ending soon. Zarka's closing, Open's closing, Life Beyond is closing, 1RT are all closing this week. All closing this week. Petya knows because I'm rattling everybody in the Telegram groups to get your money in on these deals. All right. By the way, our special opportunity last quarter was this. This is a SAFT agreement, by the way. Don't let it intimidate you. You'll understand these things within a week or two. All right. Now, you missed out on this because you didn't join us last quarter. So guess what you missed out on? You missed out on a 466% return in one day. This is what you would have got if you were part of this club and invested in this deal. Imagine if you put 10,000 on this, you would have paid for the course in one day. This is what you're missing. And so when your brain gives you excuses like, I can't afford it, well, your brain is sabotaging you because clearly you can if you found a way to afford it. In one day, I made my investment club $300,000, right? And this wasn't even a big deal. We did this deal because we were bored that week. This is Cross the Ages, the very first deal we invested in. This is Sammy Schlagu, the CEO. This is my interview with Sammy. Cross the Ages is dominating the App Store. They're selling millions of dollars of NFTs. After my interview, they got a $12 million investment from Animoca and Ubisoft. This will release their token. We're expecting a 10x pop this year, and then it's going to go up from there. Folks, we have a track record of success in this group. And this is my pledge to all of my members inside the investment club. I'm going to create $10 billion for them over the next 10 years. And watch me, I'm going to do it. I'm going to make all these people filthy rich. Petya is going to be dropping by London on her jet, their diamond rings and all this stuff, and I'll be laughing. Now, look, you can be on the inside or you can be on the outside watching this happen, but this is going to happen. And this is what we're going to do. I couldn't be more excited about this. This is Jens. He's one of our founding members, and he was on one of these calls a couple of weeks ago, and he looked at a bunch of your faces, and you guys made him angry. And afterwards, he called me up, and he said, Brian, these people don't get it. They don't understand the opportunity they have. I said, Jens, what do you mean? He said, Brian, I used to invest my own for 20 years. But he said, the investment club is the best thing I've ever seen, and these people don't get it. I said, Jens, don't worry about it. We're already full this quarter. We got plenty of members. We're going to keep doing what we're doing. And he said, no, Brian, this frustrates me that these people don't understand what they're missing. They seem like good people. I said, what do you want me to do about this, Jens? I'm busy. He said, I'm going to make a video and I want you to play it for him. I said, okay. So this is Jens. This is his video for you.
Why should you join the investment club? And the next obvious question is, can I afford to join the investment club? My name is Jens Krautscheid, and I am an active investor in stocks and companies since age 14, and risking of stating the obvious, I'm German. Also, I am one of the founding members of the investment club, and I consider my decision to join the investment club as one of the best investment decisions I ever made and I ever will make. Why? We all had this this talk at the dinner table where we complained about our hustle we have to do daily. We complained on the workload we have, and we try to top up each other who has more stress, who is more hustling. And then sooner or later someone says, well, if I would have been an early stage investor in PayPal, I would be so rich. Or if I would have been an early stage investor in Microsoft, I would be so rich. And this is nice. This is really nice. But let's be honest. If you would have had the chance back then, 1992, to invest in PayPal, would you have pulled the trigger? Would you have invested? Quite likely you wouldn't have, because you couldn't assess the situation. You couldn't value the situation enough. In the investment club, we get these offers on a daily basis. We get the next PayPals on our table. And then we have a team of 50 people, 60 people, of a growing community of people who will do these assessments. And they will say, do this, buy this, this is the way. And then we buy this. And the next question is, can you afford to join the investment club? And the question really should be, can you afford not to join the investment club? Times are getting tougher. AI is taking over. And in what company you want to invest? In which AI company do you want to invest? Do you want to invest in the ones who do the fridges? Or do you want to invest in an early stage Coca-Cola who uses the fridges? It's up to your decision. I tell you now, invest in the investment club and be part of our fabulous, wonderful group. My name is Jens Krautscheid, and I wish you the best decisions of them all.
Booyah. What do we think of Jens? We liking him? We feeling his energy? Yeah, Jens is amazing. And look, all of our members are like that. They're serious about making money, but they're also serious about you making money. They want you to win. They expect you to win. And it's just an amazing community that really supports each other. I mean, Petya says this is where all of our friends are. And this is where a lot of our friends are as well. I mean, they're just great people. We want to do this all together for the next 10 years, make a ton of money, change the industry, make sure AI is developed in the right way, the responsible way. And this is how we're going to do it. And so, folks, it only takes one. This is something Marianne Bartel said to me in the very first call. She said, Brian, it only takes one. And I was like, what do you mean, Marianne? She's like, Brian, I know people that invested in Uber in the beginning, in Google in the beginning. One investment changed their entire life, changed the lives of their children, changed the lives of their grandchildren. One. If you don't have one of these in your portfolio, like, what are you doing with your life? You're going to miss out. You're going to miss out. It just takes one of these. And so final thoughts are this: don't let 2023 pass you by. You've got to learn early stage investing now. You can use it your entire life. Liquid tokens and equities have limited gains. Bitcoin, I'm sure a lot of people have Bitcoin here. It's not going up 1,000x, folks. It's not going to $28 million. No Bitcoiner believes that, even the hardcore. You have to start with early stage investments, all right? This is your chance to learn from active elite investors for just $50,000. In a long enough timeline, this is one of the best bargains out there. It's a significant investment with unlimited financial returns. And thanks to Martini, as of a few months ago, she introduced a payment plan, which means if you want to get in on the Zarka and the Opens, but you don't have a ton of money, you could spread your payments across. So $10,000 a month for 5 months and have enough money to invest this week in those investments before they close. And you get all of this, the chance to invest in the best deal flow in the world. And you think we're hot now? Watch us in 6 months. We're going to be even hotter. And it's just going up from here. And I would just say, never forget what Warren Buffett says. The best investment you can make is in yourself. This group is an investment in yourself, perhaps the best one you've ever made. A chance to get a real peer group of amazing people that's going to change your life over the next 10 years. You'll get a bigger investment by investing in yourself than you would in any of the deals I just showed you. Spend money on you to get you to the next level. That's the one thing I would say before you go here. Yeah, if you do that, there's going to be plenty of Zarkas and Opens in the future. But if you don't invest in yourself, there's going to be none of those in your future, because you're going to be the same person with the poor mentality, without the network, etc. These are Martini's details. You need to speak to her if you want to join our investment club. These are ways to book a call with her or message her on Messenger. She is our gatekeeper. If you do get a chance to speak with Martini, you have to convince her of why you belong inside our investment club. She is extremely busy speaking with serious candidates. So whatever you do not waste Martini's time, right? We all made that mistake once and only once, all right? She's only looking for serious people that want to join this course now, not people that are thinking about doing it later or want to ask a question about crypto. But if you are, please ask her a question. We are looking for good energy, high quality people. I don't care if you got a fancy degree. I don't care if you have $1 billion. I want the right people to be on our team for the next 10 years. And Martini will help us find that. And again, it all comes down to your why, folks. They say with a strong enough why, anyhow is possible. Do you have people in your life you care about? Do you have generational wealth you're trying to create for a community? Do you have a world you're trying to build for those around you? If you do, you will find a way how to join this program. If you have no why, there is no how in the possible in this world. So find your why. I have my why, these guys, and there's nothing I wouldn't do for these guys. I will make anything happen for these guys. So find your why. One of my mentors, Robert Kiyosaki, once said to me, he said, Brian, a poor person says, I can't afford it. A rich person says, how can I afford it? That's because they are finding their why. How can I afford this? Wait a second. If I can make this return, how can I afford this? A statement closes the mind. A question opens up the mind. Think about that. And now I'd love to open this up for answers, to answer some questions. Was that helpful to anybody here? Was that presentation helpful in some way, shape, or form? Okay, good. I hope so. We've actually got Martini here, so I figure we might as well use this opportunity to get her to speak to you really quickly. Martini, if people are serious about this program, what's the best way for them to contact you?
Yes, absolutely. So thank you all for being here. It just really just warms my heart to know that I'm just starting out my week with the London Real Army. So we definitely appreciate everybody sharing their light being here on the line. So hopefully you were able to pick up some major gems that Brian was dropping today. And let's just face it, guys, like AI is going to be a part of everyday life going forward. And like Mo said, you know, I'm not necessarily afraid of the machines, but the people who are running it. So we want to make sure that we are investing in projects and companies that we truly believe in, that are really making a difference in the world and are really moving humanity forward, as well as building some wealth along the way, right? So we do have the investment club that is available to you guys. And if you take a look down, I put some links inside of the chat there. The first thing is for you guys to go ahead and take a look at the investment club page and everything that it offers, how we can best support you on your journey, and basically just what it entails. And I know that I've been having actually a lot of conversations with people who are very new to the space, some very seasoned, but a lot of people who are new and a little bit intimidated by AI because it's new to them, or investing because it's new, or you don't really feel so proficient in that. What I would say is don't worry about that. We've got so many amazing people, and I see Petia smiling there because she was one of those who was a little intimidated to begin with, but we've got amazing people from all over the world, some very new, very fresh, very green, to some who are just rocking it out in the space, very much advanced, very much knowledgeable, and everybody there as a collective, we're here to support and move you up the curve. So please, if you are intimidated or you feel new, don't be so concerned about that. I still want to have a conversation with you if you are looking into joining us in the investment club and just want to see how it'll work. So first step, go ahead and take a look at that investment club page and jot down a few notes. No question is too small or too simple, and no question is too big. So be sure to jot down some notes and jot down some questions. So by the time you book a call with me, you have a very good idea of what it is that we do, and it'll just make the call run a little bit smoother, okay? So I know that we are spread out all throughout the land. So I know that we are all in different time zones. So I am up round the clock all day, every day, and it's not because I have to be, it's really because I want to be. We definitely want to support you guys, And I really feel that, you know, wealth needs to be in the hands of people who are going to do right with it. So I stay up round the clock just to make sure that I'm supporting people who truly care about, you know, moving us forward. So that's my labor of love, I guess. So go ahead. If you don't see a time that is available in your time zone, please go ahead and send me a private message on Facebook and just let me know who you are, where you're from, and what time is most available to you in your time zone. And I'll definitely do my best to accommodate. And of course, there's always email, but I am a millennial, so Facebook is always faster. So guys, once again, we really enjoyed having you guys here. You know, hopefully you took away some amazing gems, but don't let it stop here. We are truly here to support you. We are truly the London Real community that really just wants you to transform your life and transform your finances and transform that story of generational wealth. So we definitely hope to see you on the inside. Our first live call is Thursday, and we can't wait to see you. Back to you, Brian.
All right, give it up for Martini. Always doing amazing things. Martini's in there, creating our community, investing alongside of us. And it really, really is a very, very special place. I'm telling you, it's probably that community you've been looking for your entire life. And look, I just want to say I appreciate everybody being here. If you do get a chance to speak to Martini, like I said, just make it count is what I would say. And look, life all comes down to a few moments. You know, if you're here on this call or if you're watching this after the call, you know, that's probably for a reason. And I believe potentially your destiny is with us. We're going to do some amazing things. I can't wait for the next 10 years because it's probably going to be the greatest things I do in my entire life. And I want to do it with the right people. And we're doing that right now, which is amazing. Some crazy comments in the chat, and I appreciate everybody coming in. Some people are worried about some of these AI beans and are scared of how people are going to use it. Robert's afraid of the humans, which I get it. Paul's concerned about some of the corrupt players and trying to keep them in check. I agree. That's a thing to worry about as well. Erica was just happy to be here and just saying it's kind of crazy what's going on there. Looks like a lot of people are kind of enlightened to what's going on here. Really appreciate the information. You know, there's always what's happening in the news, and then there's what's actually happening behind the scenes. And so if you really want to know what's actually happening, you want to talk to someone who's investing, speaking with the top players in the world on that. And that's really, really crucial. And that's what we're doing as well. So look, folks, I hope you take this tonight and take action. All right. Again, this is nothing's going to happen unless you pull the trigger, change your peer group, and just do something definitive. Otherwise, it's just going to be the same old, same old. And I'll see you on these Zoom calls a year from now. And you'll be like, hey, Brian, oh, I never got around to it. Don't be that person. Pull the trigger, make this happen. I look forward to seeing you on that first live call. It's going to be an amazing journey. All right. Thank you all so much. And like I said, look forward to seeing you inside the investment club. All right. Bye, everybody. Take care.